Hi, friends. I'm Katie.
And I'm Lauren. And welcome to Okay, but Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today, we're recapping and chatting about Bob's Burgers Season 4, Episode 15, The Kids Rob a Train, and Episode 16, I Get Psychic Out of You. But we always start off with our synopsis, and for The Kids Rob a Train, Bob's Burgers is closing for the afternoon to go on a wine train. They bring the kids, who are allowed, even though they're not exactly welcome. The kids discover there is a chocolate fountain on the way to their car, only to find out that they don't get any of the buffet. They find regular-sized Rudy on the juice caboose, the kids' section of the train that only has a bathroom and a beanbag. The kids plan a heist to steal the chocolate from the kitchen. The parents meet a wine enthusiast on the sip and ride, and Bob ends up competing with him on wine tasting. The kids get into a lot of chaos on their heist, ending on a chocolate rainfall in the juice caboose. Bob beats the annoying wine enthusiast when Linda fills their glasses with the wine spit bucket.
Yep.
Yeah. So we already can tell how Lauren feels about the spit bucket.
Yeah.
But let's start off with our puns. For what you get for the vacant storefront.
That was Brazilian Air Currency Exchange and Waxing Salon, which honestly is a very economical use of your space.
It really truly is. But sadly, of course, the business does not survive.
No.
And then the pest control truck.
Murder She Roach Exterminators, which was phenomenal, and I did catch that was the right logo.
It is the right logo, so that is for Murder, She Wrote. That I did not know actually ran from 1984 to 1996.
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but I grew up with that on either my grandmother's or even my mother's TV 24/7.
Yep. Lots of
I
Angela
watched
Lansbury.
lots of Angela Lansbury. I grew up on a lot of her.
Yeah.
And a very happy Lauren.
We
have a burger.
There was a singular. At least the next one had a few more burgers. This one at least had one burger.
But this one's good.
This is a good one. It's the Enoki Doki burger. Comes with Enoki mushrooms.
That I would eat that.
That sounds delicious. And also a great pun.
Okay, so we got some characters. So we have Michael Showalter as Ethan. The most I could find on him is he actually is a bit like he directs, writes, produces a lot of things.
Yeah.
So he's just very heavy. This is the only episode he pops in on as a character. So you don't see Ethan again.
Okay, good.
So Brian Husky does play regular size Rudy.
Okay.
And Sylvester, his father.
That makes sense.
And then we have Matt Walsh. Oh, wait, no. Ethan. Which one was which? I'm mistaken on which one is which. Wait, was Ethan the wine guy?
Yeah, I think Ethan was the wine guy.
Okay, because Matt Walsh is Rick, who I think was the guy that worked there? Or was it the other way around? Did I already mix up my characters?
Maybe.
Did I? Okay, Rick is the wine guy. I'm mistaken. I'm sorry. I had to look at my notes. I was like, wait a minute. Did I mix these guys up? Michael plays Ethan, who is the guy that's the juice guy.
The juice guy, gotcha.
Yes. I don't think we see Rick ever again either. So, that's not an issue. But that's Matt Walsh, and he's played in Into the Storm, The Hangover, Ted. So, your adult comedies.
Yes.
Very much so. And then Lindsay Stoddart as Mandy. And that is the same person that plays Cynthia, who is Logan's mom.
Gotcha.
So lots of people. This is actually kind of cool. Regular size Rudy does wear a watch to avoid any continuity errors within the episode. Because usually you don't see usually you don't see a watch on his wrist. But they did make sure the whole episode there is a watch on his wrist.
Okay. That would make sense if he doesn't want to wear it to school in case it gets lost or broken.
Well, and with the train, he knows it's 4 hours long.
Yeah.
And he's stuck back there. So it makes sense for him to have a watch while he's on, especially when he's on the train, because when they came in, oh no, 2 hours. He's like, oh no, we're here for 4.
Yeah.
Which
is a very kid response, because I did write this down. I'm kid time versus adult time really is different. 4 hours does sometimes feel like an eternity to kids, and depending on what you're doing, 4 hours for an adult is nothing.
Well, if he's been doing this every weekend, I'm surprised he doesn't have a backpack with activities in it or something, even books or something to do. He literally stuck to the beanbag, which explains his attachment to the beanbag.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you keep doing something like that over and over, even a kid, like my kid would also do this. You start bringing stuff with you because you're like, oh my god, I had nothing to do for 4 hours. I'm gonna bring something to do.
Exactly.
So he is regular sized Rudy, but he does not think of entertainment.
He's regular size Rudy, not necessarily regularly sized brain Rudy.
It also does take a long time for our brains to actually grow.
No, this is true.
So Dave and Alice, so the couple when Bob and Linda dressed up in the costume when the kids were stuck, the episode you don't like,
Yes.
um, they are sitting at the next table on the wine
Oh,
train.
gotcha. Okay.
We did actually find out that Linda's birthday is June 3rd,
Mm-hmm.
which hopefully we can shout out a happy birthday to Linda since we know her birthday.
This is true.
You may have to.
Depends on, well, let me
I
see.
will be.
Let me see what episode is being posted that week. It's a Monday.
Well, what episode
That's a
is.
Monday.
That's a
Uh,
Monday.
it is a Monday. Let's see what episode's being posted that day. June 3rd. Um
Which one
so,
is it?
it's Into the Deep. It's the one with your pretty face buys you a lot, but not my time.
That is hilarious.
That's a great episode to go out that day.
That's a great episode.
That's a great mommy episode.
It is. I will be passed out that day. So
Yeah, if you don't listen to the Once Upon a Time episodes, that might make no sense. But if you listen to if you do, then it definitely mommy stuff. Yeah,
mommy stuff.
mommy stuff.
And for any train enthusiasts, somebody in the wiki was able to pinpoint the inspiration for this
Okay.
train, which is the Southern Pacific GS4. Apparently, is the inspiration for the train in this.
Okay,
So for any train enthusiasts,
despite how much Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon I've watched, I still do not pick up on any train information.
me either.
None.
It's very unique of Sheldon.
It is.
But I just want to start with kids are allowed but not welcome. What'd you think?
Yeah, that's a stupid idea. Like, quite
Very
frankly,
stupid.
unless you're going to have like an actual like I did say, oh no, the kids are going to be stuck in daycare prison, and I was right. Like, unless you're going to have like some kind of real daycare setup, like that is not a sound business practice. At least to say that, because it is very misleading. But like, there's nothing wrong with having adult only spaces that
Mm-hmm.
are adult only. Like, in reality, like there are wineries that do not let kids on the premise, and some of them do depending on how their facilities are run, but a lot of them do make their facilities at the very least 18 plus, if not 21 plus, and like that's okay, and people that have kids get mad about that. And in my response to that, as a child-free by choice human being, it's me and my cats. I'm very happy that way. um if you're mad that you can't bring your kids somewhere, you have plenty of other options. We often do not have options where kids aren't.
I am one of those people that I want kid-free places, even as a mother,
There you
because
go.
there have been many nights where I finally, I mean, I maybe get a night without my kids, maybe every 3 months. I don't get it very often. And so when I do, I don't want to hear crying. I don't want to hear
Hmm.
mommy. I don't want to
Yeah.
hear any of those things. I want
Hmm.
an adult space where I can feel like an adult, not mommy. Because
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times a day I hear the word mom or mommy and someone needs something from me. So
Yeah.
I am one of the biggest advocates for kid-free spaces. But with that as a parent too, can we please make things that are meant for families affordable?
That too.
Like I will say, I personally feel weird about having like a place that kids are welcome, but then there's lots of alcohol. Like that
Like
kind of makes me feel nervous. Let's not
that's my thing is
normalize
like,
driving your kids and drinking.
yeah, like I'm not the child free by choice person
Mhm.
that's like they're like we need to have very strict kids yes and kids no kind of
Yeah.
places. Like there are wineries in my area that they have very nice grounds. Like there's a lot of open space. Like it's on a vineyard. It's at a farm. It's somewhere. It's a very nice place, and I'm okay with the fact that the kids are allowed there, because quite frankly, most of the time the kids are somewhere that isn't by me, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's 'cause I'm never that person that's like that we should have strict that these places should strictly be
Yeah.
kid free or not. But you got like if you're gonna be up in arms about there being places that are intended to be kid free, that's usually for a reason. It's
Mhm.
not safe for them. It's not just
Exactly.
we don't want. It's not that we don't want your kids because we don't like kids. Not I'm not a business owner. I can't say exactly, but I would assume it's predominantly because these places are unsafe for
Mhm.
them to be in, even if you keep a close eye on your kids. And like I see people that do not keep close eye on their kids. I don't judge.
I'm
I
a
don't have kids.
helicopter
I'm not.
parent. I have too much
I
anxiety.
don't.
I have an anxiety disorder.
Like I'm never one to judge how someone is handling their kids because quite frankly I don't have a place to do so. But I will judge if you're very clearly not looking after your kid. They're about to do something dangerous.
Exactly. But this leads into like the next line too. Like direct line after kids are allowed but not welcome is Tina saying, like in health and sexuality section at the bookstore, which is
Exactly.
also very, very funny.
Like it's a good line, but that's very true. Is like kids can go over there. They probably shouldn't open all the books.
Yeah, they that's a whole nother discussion of things we also deal with on the internet that we don't
Yup.
need to get into on here.
Not. Nope. That's not for this podcast.
I do think they could at least feed the kids. Like, there's just so many aspects of this that I'm just like, don't have the kids there if you're not going to entertain them. They find their own
Exactly.
entertainment, which I love
Hmm.
about this episode. They do. They find their own entertainment. They do what they got to
Yeah.
do. It's a lot of fun. I
Hmm.
enjoy that aspect. But we like to put real world expectations on a cartoon. So
Yeah.
hey, we should have, kid friendly, awesome places, but also I think that's what it boils up to. But give us kid places that parents can also
Yeah.
enjoy and not want to throw something at the mouse's face, and give us both. Because like
Exactly.
I think our local brewery, like the one I can mainly think of, they allow kids,
Hmm.
which I think is
Yeah.
a lot of fun because you got cornhole, they have all kinds of stuff set up, parents can get together. But then I feel weird if you have both parents that are present or the one parent that's present that is about to drive their kids back home and drink. Please do
Yeah.
so responsibly.
Yes, please.
I get not wanting to put a car seat in and out of an Uber, but it's still better
Yeah, no, it's still
than
better than
driving.
make sure you've got a DD. Especially, I
Please.
mean, under normal circumstances, but especially if you've got your kids with you.
Especially. So I think that's just where I think that's kind of where we both are on how we view it. Um,
Yeah.
what did what else did you think? Barring the kids.
Barring the kids being stuck in daycare jail.
Yeah.
Um, I when Linda was about to invite, was Rick is the wine
Yes,
guy.
Rick is wine
I'm
guy.
assuming I wrote down I hate Rick. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Linda, let Bob drink the wine he wants to drink and ignore the guy tasting the wine too loudly. People that like go to like not like I mean I can't speak to the quality of the wine on the wine train, but like people that like go to like wine tastings like at wineries or like and like they do like the swirling and the
Mhm.
smelling and all of that. I'm like it's one thing like most of them do have spit buckets like or like at least the very least they'll have a dump bucket just to dump out
Or
the
you're
rest of your
only getting
tasting
a
if you
taste.
you're getting a very little amount of it. Like it's people that do it very loudly like just like at a winery
Mhm.
like you're not impressing anybody by doing
Yeah,
that. Like you're like whether you're a certified sommelier or not, like it's just everyone else is there just to get is
mhm.
just to drink and they're there to have a good time. And my first date with my partner, we went to a winery because it was in
That's a good
we have a
date.
winery that's open. It's a good first date, and the winery had a really good deal because the winery they distill their own spirits. They also make cider and wine,
Ooh.
so they had options for their tastings. They had the wine tasting, they had the cider tastings. The wine tasting I think had 5 wines, or I had 6 wines. The cider tasting had 5 ciders, and the spirits tasting had 4 spirits. I think it was um, a bourbon. I think it was a bourbon, a whiskey, a rye, and a gin. I think
Oh, good one. That's nice.
those are good options. So it was all those at their own individual prices, or you got the trio, which I think was like $20,
That's not bad.
which is not a bad deal at all. We figured it would be you get to pick 2 wines, 2 ciders, and a spirit.
Mm.
It was not that. It was $20 for all 3 tastings.
Holy
All of them.
shit.
It was a great deal. We stayed there for a very long time.
I was about to say you got to Uber after that. Do they serve
We stayed
food?
there. Oh yeah, they have a great
Oh,
kitchen
thank
there. So
goodness.
we did that
Like
tasting.
that's
We each
alcohol
also got a glass
poisoning.
afterwards. You know, we the server was very good about spacing out our tastings. We also both just got a glass afterwards because we were sitting here anyway. So we got food, we hung out. That was our first date.
That's so sweet.
The joke of sapphic dates being like 8 hours. Ours was about 6 hours. That's just because it wasn't safe for us to leave yet.
You want to laugh?
Tell
I
me.
am not in a heteronormative relationship. Mine and my husband's first date was 12 hours long.
Aw.
Well, okay, so We had met up. We wanted to go see Captain Marvel because no one would go see Captain
Mhm.
Marvel with me because people seem to have the worst opinion of Captain Marvel, which makes me very, very upset. It's amazing. Shut up. I love Carol Danvers. Steven, we had met at a local bar. One I actually like I ran their beer table for um St. Patrick's Day. Like I actually worked
Mhm.
there. Uh I literally a bar fight happened. I fell in my husband's lap and then we had a conversation afterwards and he was like, "I'll go with you." But of course we had to get food first. So we ate food, went to a 2-hour movie, went to one bar where we like hung out a little bit, then went back to the bar that I worked at, hung out for a little bit, and then we're like, "Ooh, let's go bowling." And ended up at the bowling alley. That all when you add in dinner, a movie, 2 bars, and going bowling, it did amount to like a 12-hour long date. And then we met up like 6 hours later after we got some sleep to go play around a disc golf. And now we're married. So
There you go.
I do not have a heteronormative relationship.
No, you don't. I do wanna add on to this, the beginning of our date, and then we can go back to Bob's
Yeah,
Burgers.
exactly.
Um, the beginning of it, so we did start out with lunch. That was
Mhm.
we ate before the winery, and then we
Which
ate
is
while we were
smart.
there, uh, which is very smart. So we went to a pub that was not too far from the winery, and, we operate under we've always operated under this mentality, but especially with sapphic relationships because, the joke of them not the joke, but the expectation that the man pays on the first date
Yeah.
doesn't exist. We're both women. That doesn't exist. So we always operate under I guess, the convention that whoever plans the date expects to pay. And like, if we do offer to do 50/50, that's one thing. But at least the very beginning, that's usually is like, you're the one that did the planning. You probably picked the restaurant. You know how much things are cost. Like, that's the expectation. So Emily had expected to pay for lunch. And we had lunch. It was a nice lunch. For those who people don't know what my girlfriend looks like or what I look like for that matter, of the two of us, I am more masculine presenting.
Well, she's also like shorter than me. So
She's also tiny. She's also
she's
tiny, but
tiny.
she's definitely more femme. I am more on the mask
Mhm.
side of the spectrum. The server, for whatever reason, very specifically put the check right in front of me, and like
Mm.
at that point, I'm like, we both laughed at it, and I'm like, at this point, I feel like I have to pay. She's like, no, but I asked, and she's like, I got the more expensive thing. I'm like, it's really okay because I also had done my research. I knew I could, so it was really fine. I'm like, you can pay for the wine. We'll it'll all even out at the end of the day. But that was the thing of like, that's how it started, and then we just then the winery happened, and then we just stayed there for forever, and it was a lot of interesting mishaps, which
I
I think
love
sometimes makes
that.
for the best. It makes for the best first date story.
You want to laugh more?
Yes,
Steven and I each took turns paying for things at each place.
I mean that's fair.
It was
That
so
should
many
be the
places. It was
expectation.
so many places
That
though.
that should be the
Because
expectation.
he still has his membership with the theater thing. So of
Hmm.
course he got the tickets because that.
Yeah.
I think I paid for dinner. And then the first round of drinks at the first bar he paid. I paid the next one.
Hmm.
And then bowling, I think we split because bowling's expensive. So like
Yeah.
we literally both just paid for the first date. Like
No, but
I
that's the
love
way that
that.
it should be. And like that's the way that we still are because I mean we don't have
Yeah.
shared finances, so we just I pay for one thing, she pays for the next, and it evens out at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I will say Rick is annoying. I also wrote that down.
Yes, he's annoying.
I understand wine tasting more than I probably should. I actually used to run
Yeah.
wine tastings. But it can be done without the slurping. So I did used to run wine test tastings at one of the restaurants
Okay.
I worked at. We would do one night a week was wine tasting because they would always get so many
Mhm.
samples and everything else. There was a lot of wine. It's fine dining.
Yeah.
So I would run it sometimes, and of course, you got to know your wine notes, know where it's from, understand. Like I had another job, I had wine and liquor and beer classes. Like we had to be there at a certain time every Friday and sit down and learn like about a specific type of wine, a
Mhm.
specific alcohol, even down to how it's made. Like you have to know
Oh,
your
okay.
stuff in this field. You have to
Yeah.
because you never know what question you're going to get. And
Mhm.
so I can say without a doubt, with how much I've learned, slurping is not needed
Okay.
for any when it's a basic with a very basic wine tasting. If you've never done it before,
Mhm.
you put a little bit more than a splash of wine so you can at least see it, so that way you're able to see the wine. You swirl it, you sniff it, you can look at the legs, whatever you want to do, and you take a small amount into your mouth and maybe swish it around a little bit. That way you can also
Mhm.
get a mouth feel for it. But that's
Okay.
pretty much to the extent that you're going. Like it you
Okay.
don't have to overdo it, you really don't,
Mhm.
because you're there to taste it, not like savor it.
Yeah, it's I understand that there's a point, like, I'm sure it does something, it aerates the wine, whatever they claim that
Yes,
it
so the
does.
swirling is
I
what really kinda gives it some more air.
gotcha. Like, I mean, I am predominantly a white wine drinker,
Mhm.
which the tasting notes and everything with that and the process is a little different for that because that also involves the chilling and all that
Do
other
you
stuff
understand
really.
the differences between those, though? Why a white wine is white and why a red one ends up red?
Is it not because of the kinds of grapes that are used?
Not only.
Okay.
White wines, usually the skin has been removed from the
Ooh.
grape. Red
Okay.
wines, the skin is left on. So that's why sometimes
Okay.
red ends up usually with more tannins.
That makes sense.
See, you talk about how you've got all this knowledge about things that doesn't really matter. Here's mine. I'm
There you
now
go.
I'm now somebody who is sober, who knows more about alcohol than she ever should.
But to be fair, that is a more applicable, like, fun fact to just spout at a party.
It really is.
No one no one is asking me the timeline of Regina Mills's character arc from season 1 to season 7. No one's asking me that.
Okay, did you pick up on the part where they say that they are locked inside of the juice caboose? Back to the children, now that I'm realizing this.
Mhm.
They were
Yep.
locked in.
Uh-huh. No, I called it daycare prison for a reason.
My God. Um, the E-Kiss profile.
Yeah, he no, don't lay out your dating profile. That's not okay. A lot of my notes were like Mr. Rudy's dad because I didn't catch what his name was.
Sylvester.
Sylvester. I'm gonna keep with Mr. Rudy's dad.
Let's
Respect
do
your date's
that.
personal space. Yeah, I was like, please respect your date's personal space. I did go on a date with a guy that one time. Like he was like trying like the tactics to try and hold my hand. I hung on to my coffee cup. I was not like letting my hand go for a second.
Remind me one day to just tell you my hetero nightmares of dates.
Okay.
I've got some
I
doozies.
I have some as well. I used to date
I'm
men
so
unsuccessfully, but I used
unsuccessful.
to do it.
Well, now we
I
know
used to
why
do
it
it
was
though.
unsuccessful. I
Hello.
have God damn it. I have only successfully dated one. Hey, we hit the 5-year mark. I've done something right.
No, you're fine.
When they ran out of rosé and things got weird.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine people who like rosé are very strongly
Very.
opinionated about their rosé. I personally don't like rosé. I'm not a big fan of sweet wines, but
We are friends for a reason.
I like dry wines. That's. But to be fair, we were on the phone one time while I was picking up wine from my parents, and I said I'm grabbing some Pinot Grigio, and you went, "Why are you buying old lady wine? I love Pinot Grigio. Thank you very much."
Okay, we'll quit being a Pinot Grigio.
Never.
Okay, I like a good wine for what it's for. I actually did try some alcohol-free wines this weekend, though, and they were very yummy. I had a Chardonnay, and they had a sparkling
Same.
Brut, and I was
Oh,
able to
nice.
enjoy my drink with my husband and celebrate the anniversary and not feel hungover at all.
There you go.
That's my problem. I love the flavor of wine. I don't
Hmm.
like what it does to my body.
No, that's
Like,
fair.
I can't have my favorite wine. I was cleared by my doctor, but I can't have my favorite wine. I'm trying to
Hmm.
keep to this for right now.
Hmm.
Um, it's not for everybody, but Carnivore makes a uh Cabernet, which Cabernets are my favorite, that was
Hmm.
aged in bourbon bottles. I think it's bourbon.
Oh,
Yeah, they age the wine in bourbon barrels.
nice.
And I'm also like I love whiskey and bourbon. I am not like, what am I? I'm sitting here talking about all these rich flavors and like
You're right.
most women like myself are not big on that, but no, I love it's
Hmm.
so freaking good. And even just the
That's fair.
normal carnivore. It's carnivore without an
Hmm.
E. I
Okay.
love their wines. I'm not drinking them right now. Maybe one day again.
It's
But
true.
when the time comes, that's what I'll be drinking.
Yes. I was with Bob though. This definitely tastes like wine.
Yeah.
Like when you truthfully when I do go to wine tastings that are predominantly red wine because some places that's
Mhm.
just what they have and I'm like, that's wine. That's what that is. I could taste the difference between white wines. I truthfully sometimes cannot taste the difference between red wines.
I think with red wines, they use a lot of your dark fruits, a lot of
Yeah.
stone fruits, a lot of darker fruits. So even if it's something that's got like more so of a raspberry or even a cherry, you can't
Mm.
really taste the big difference in a red wine between those two, in my personal opinions. But when you start getting to other things like coffee flavor to it, or like I said, the
Yeah.
bourbon barrel,
Yeah, that you'll
that's where
taste.
it gets a little bit easier to like get that
Mhm.
distinct taste out of it. But like that's what my same with rosé. All rosés taste the same to me.
Yeah,
But there are rosé drinkers that'll tell you differently.
exactly. It's all what you're used to drinking.
Yeah. And the last thing I wrote was he doesn't have a malicious bean in his bag.
He does not.
He does not.
Poor beanbag. I did like raining chocolate, although it was not as funny as raining shrimp.
It was not as funny as Raining Shrimp, but it was cute that the kids
They had their own little
like
adventure.
I feel like they did a really good job in this episode of kind of making all the chain events happen
Hmm.
the way that they did. I thought they
Yeah.
did a really good job at that. I enjoy the story that they told.
Hmm.
Um, because as always, you've got to have someone that you don't like.
Yeah.
This one had multiple, but that's okay.
This one did have multiple.
What did you rate this?
This one gets sevens across the board. It gets a 21. It's a solid episode the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
because this is really where I can say like my scoring sometimes really does come down to vibes. Like
Yeah.
structurally, there isn't anything wrong with this episode. It's just fine. But like I've had other episodes that like also are kind of the same kind of structural A plot B plot chaos kind of thing that I give higher
Mm-hmm.
scores for whatever reason. While watching this one, it could have just been my mindset for how I was feeling at that point in the evening. I don't know, but I was just kind of like, oh, this is fine. That's kind of how I was feeling the whole time.
Which isn't a bad thing.
It's
It
not
could
a
have been,
it's not a bad thing at
oh,
all.
I
There
hate
was
this.
Yeah, there was no vehement against anything. This is not, if you listen to whatever episode comes before this, the Once Upon a Time episode was, that one had some strong opinions. This one is like I don't
That was,
feel
oh,
badly, like I don't feel badly about the episode at all. It is structurally fine. This is what I would expect
yeah.
of a Bob's Burgers episode. But it's just like there wasn't a wow factor for me.
So do you prefer so far the episodes that give you kind of pull your heartstrings a little bit or more
I
comically
I
there for
think
you? Like what is the Bob's episode you seem to really like so far?
let me
Their
pull
with their
let
formulas.
me pull up my on the spreadsheet of the ones that have all been ranked so far, because that'll tell you. Um,
Okay.
so far my top three, my 230s and my 120. I think it's a 29. Yeah, my the 230s and 29.
So
The
like the highest
the
rated
highest
ones.
ones is Full Bars, Slumber Party, and Seaplane.
Okay.
I think it's a specific type of like madcap comedy kind of thing. I think it's the comedy. It's when they use like their kind of their formula, but in a screwball comedy way, which is a very specific type
Mhm.
of comedy, where it's kind of like everything is almost going to hell, but then comes together again at the end.
Okay. That makes
That's, I think,
sense.
that's though that I would describe those, in like Torpedo is the fourth one, and Bob Rest Ye Merry Gentle Mannequin is the fourth. Like I would like those are all I would say those are all kind of, it's Bob's formula with screwball comedy aspects to it. I
Mhm.
think that's what I'm liking the most so far.
When we finish off this season, I think it'd be fun to look back and see which formulas that you're not a huge fan of. Because if they're 25 and up, I'm gonna say you're a fan.
Oh yeah,
If they near 20, that's probably the ones you're like, not my
yeah,
favorite, which is not a bad thing as long
no,
as it's still more liking than not liking.
yeah, yeah. This season is lower on average compared to the other ones.
Which I
Um,
love this season, which is very funny, but I
yeah,
know
like
more.
no, this is true. You know more. This one just has like some things that just like, well, this one that had like Fortnite coming out right the gate. It's like there's just ones that I'm just like, they're just not hitting, and that's okay. Like
Hmm.
not every season is gonna hit, and
I
like
think
it's fine.
I think when you eventually watch so much of it that you want to go back and just watch for joy,
Hmm.
once you've seen so much of it, like I'm up to 14 seasons now.
Yeah.
Once you've seen so much of it and you start doing the actual like rewatching, because like right now you don't really want to pop it on and rewatch because you're still very new
Hmm.
to a lot of the stuff happening in it.
Yeah.
Once you reach like season 8, season 10, you're like, okay, I can safely go back and watch some of this again
Yeah.
and get another feel for it. Once you see like what much of these characters go through and do, I think that's when it starts to really like, oh wait, no, this is actually kind of enjoyable because of
Yeah.
the chaos that you see later down the line. I did nines across the board, and that's
Okay.
why I say that is
Yeah.
because I've seen everything.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in this episode makes complete fucking sense.
Yeah. No,
Like,
which is fair.
so
Well, it's
the
like same with like,
27 for me.
yeah, which is the same way with the Once Upon a Time stuff. Is you and I are
Hmm.
gonna like be more forgiving or less forgiving of things for different reasons. Like something's not gonna bother you, but I know that there's some continuity error in season 5. That I'm like, this is
Exactly.
not how that works. Like so or vice versa. Like you're like, well, why is he doing this? I hate this, and I'm like, there's a reason behind this. It's just it won't be clear for like 7 more episodes.
Exactly.
So
There's so much
it's
that happens in these two,
yeah.
even though it's such a different type of show.
Hmm.
There's still things with this that I'm like, oh no. Like I think if you If we continue this and you go back one day, you're gonna be like, oh, wait a minute, that's actually
Yeah.
much better than I realized.
Mhm.
Just like characters grow on you.
Exactly.
Like, you just had a Teddy episode you enjoyed.
I
Like,
know.
what?
Shocking.
But now we're gonna get into season 4, episode 16. I Get Psychic Out of You.
Uh-huh.
Linda thinks she has psychic powers after hitting her head on the counter. She starts making predictions for everyone, including Sergeant Bosco, in a police investigation. Louise convinces her siblings to use their mom's new powers to bet on a racing horse. Linda makes many predictions and does her best to aid the investigation to find Little Boy Bandit, a local thief. The kids use Teddy to bet on a horse. Linda finds out none of her predictions were accurate and everyone is mad. Linda has to inform Bosco she was wrong about her prediction, while Bob heads to the horse track to get the kids. They discover the Little Boy Bandit is actually a horse jockey, and the kids lose their bet due to his arrest. As he should. Like,
That they do.
hey, that was a good synopsis.
That was a good synopsis.
But what'd you get for the vacant storefront?
It was Napoleon's complexion skincare for little people.
It's a choice.
It is a choice.
And then I think you'll like the pest control truck.
It's not my favorite, but it's definitely a clever one. It's Curiosity Killed the Rat.
It's I don't know if we'll ever have another Jack be nimble, Jack be dead.
No, that one is just it's so to the point.
All right, I want to hear how happy you are.
There are 4 burgers of the day.
Are you appeased?
I am happy. Although to be fair, the last one I had to guess because you can't see the entire one, but I think I figured out what it was supposed to say.
All right, let's go.
All right, so the first one was the I fought the slaw burger and the slaw one.
For, I fought the law.
Yep. Charbroil Fair burger comes with parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
So that was a play on the traditional English ballad Scarborough Fair.
Oh, okay. I was like, this is what that definitely says, but I don't understand it.
Exactly.
Beats of the Southern Wild burger.
That's actually from a 1973 collection of stories by Doris Betts, Beast of the Southern... Let me say this right. Beast of the Southern Wild and Other Stories, or the 2012 unrelated film, Beast of the Southern Wild. So it's up for interpretation.
Okay. And the last one, even because I'm fairly... there's nothing else that this could have been, is Sympathy for the Deviled Egg burger.
That is correct, and that's a play on Rolling Stones'
Yes.
Sympathy for the Devil, which is I like that one.
It's a good one, and there's an episode of Once Upon a Time in season 4 when we get Cruella de Vil that is called Sympathy for the DeVille, which is quite frankly one of my favorite episodes of the whole show.
That's awesome.
Which, honestly, now that we've done so much looking into the show, makes sense because they named so many of the episodes after rock songs. So the fact that they did that one is not, like, I've now done that. I now see that now. So, like, the fact that one is Sympathy for the DeVille, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
So, Sergeant Bosco's back. And,
yes, he is.
Just a reminder that is Jerry Cole. Jerry. We do this for fun.
We've been talking for an hour and a half. It's fine. We have.
Gary Cole as Sergeant Bosco, and he is from Office Space, Pineapple Express. Like, this guy is awesome. He's hilarious at that. So, Dizzy Dog is now fully introduced.
Okay.
As the mascot of Wonder Wharf.
Mm-hmm.
He was seen on a comic book cover in The Kids Rob a Train. That comic book cover has Dizzy Dog on it.
Gotcha.
See, I love the continuity in this. It's a freaking cartoon.
I know.
This is just like per chance thing, but this was out. This was around the 2015 Philadelphia train derailment. Linda advising Gretchen to stay away from trains on her journey to Philadelphia is an eerie foreshadowing of it because it came out like right before the derailment. Like literally right before Linda makes this comment and then it happened.
I hate when like animation somehow predicts the future.
Yeah, so we see that a lot.
Uh-huh.
Although Gretchen's ex-boyfriend isn't seen in the episode, he appears on a tarot card made in promotion for this episode, and it is apparently been posted by Behind Bob's Burgers, and I now need to go find all of this. Once again, another thing Katie didn't know existed. And then, of course, we already know about the When Linda proclaims Kaiser Soze herself is a reference to the 1990 film, The Usual Suspects, and its infamous twist ending. I've never seen it, so
Me neither.
cool. And would you like to know the horses' names running in the race?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I love the horse names because they're always the weirdest things.
So number 1 was Lunchbox.
Okay.
2 was Unicorn Jake, which I find
Nice.
funny because of Adventure Time. That makes
Oh,
me
okay.
think of Adventure Time. Uh,
Sure.
3 was Pride of Detroit, Ditroit.
Okay.
Number 4 was Sea Bagel. 5 is Bottle of Smoke.
Sure.
6 is Mud Butt.
Yeah.
7 is Brown Noise SLR.
Okay then.
And then 8 was, of course, Gelding the Lily. So I'm just gonna start off with Marshmallow isn't handsome. She's beautiful.
She is beautiful.
We got Marshmallow. It's
We did
so
get
rare that we
Marshmallow.
get her, and it always makes me so happy.
I know. I was like, I would like my back cracked like a glow stick. Thank you.
But then, like Bob going, Marshmallow, please get off of me.
Yeah, no, that's true. I did highlight 3 lines that just were hilarious for like no particular reason. I guess when Linda was calling the news station with the
Mm-hmm.
Dizzy Dog tip and she's doing the sound effect, Bob going, "Are they confused why Jerry Lewis is calling?"
I love their relationship, though.
It was that was so accurate. I'm like that because that's what it sounded like. It just sounded like because I mean to me it sounded like Professor Frink from The Simpsons, which is a
Yeah.
Jerry Lewis impression, which is
Oh
riboflavin,
my god.
Um, when Bosco comes in and says to Linda, "You're my last hope," and Bob just
Oh my
goes,
god.
"You're
Yeah.
doomed."
Bob is so unserious this whole time, and it's just amazing.
The whole time, I am Bob in
Yeah.
this episode. Basically, he's like, "Yeah, you're my last hope. You're doomed." But my favorite one was psychics didn't predict Rome in a day. They didn't.
I did love too though when Bosco takes her back to get help. About and she mentions about like, oh well, I hit my
Mm-hmm.
head and this is how this is working, and he was fully prepared to cock her. Like he got it out completely
Mm-hmm.
prepared to hit her in the and I was like,
He was ready to pistol whip.
dude,
He's a
Bosco's the
dick.
worst, but also he decided to trust a psychic.
There's also that if a psychic is his last hope, he really is doomed. To never
Well,
find this person. I did write down, Gretchen, go and get a cheesesteak. Don't go to
don't
your
go
ex
all the way to
boyfriend.
Philadelphia. Don't do that. Um,
No, don't go to Philadelphia. But again, Linda, green is not a
no,
primary color.
Linda is so much fun in this episode. But like
Yeah.
the thing with Bosco that I really enjoy is every time we watch a Bosco episode, it never goes well for him. So you kind of get to sit back and watch it go
No.
horribly for him every single time because you're gonna get
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get more
Every
Bosco.
time.
It never works out for him, and it's the best. It's like you never want it to work out for characters like Jimmy Jr., but you don't get to really see that because he's such a dick.
Mm-hmm.
No, when when a
Yeah.
Bosco episode comes up, you're like, ha! I get to watch the
Yep.
guy who's a jerk get what's his, and it makes for an
Uh-huh.
enjoyable episode because finally you feel vindicated that the jerk is
Yeah,
getting
exactly.
what he deserves.
Mm-hmm. Linda's thing about like no that an image appears in her brain and then he just goes that's called having a thought. I said to be fair, not everyone
I
thinks in
do.
images. And I've had this conversation with a bunch of friends of mine. Like, here's my thing with thinking in images. I like
Hmm.
when reading, I can visualize. That's not a problem at all. That's like I again can't explain exactly what the sensation is, but it's the hallucination. You read the words on the page and your brain
Yeah.
conjures like a thing. But like my best friend thinks in concepts, not in full sentences, which is weird. We've had this conversation before, and it's fascinating every time because for the same thing of when she reads, she not that she doesn't visualize, but she doesn't have an inner narrator. She doesn't like read like the words in her head because she doesn't have that kind of inner voice like we do. Not everyone can think in images, which is also not
Yeah, I
everyone
know
can
that part,
visualize.
but
I
I'm
think
like,
she
not
can, she just
everybody
doesn't.
has a voice in their head.
Nope. Some people she thinks more so in concept. She doesn't have an inner monologue, which is just
Steven,
fascinating.
I want to know what my husband's is because I have an inner monologue.
I
I see in
and so does
pictures.
my
I have an
girlfriend.
inner monologue. My brain doesn't stop moving.
While it's not, I never got an accurate sample size of the people that I did ask. on the whole, on average, more introverted people think in sentences and have inner monologues. More extroverted people think in concepts. But again, that's based off me asking like 10
Hey, who
people.
wants to do a science experiment?
Well, to be fair, we can make a
Mm-hmm.
poll on the podcast and say, do you
I would
think in full
love to do
sentences
that.
or in
I
concepts? We can do that when we can do this one when it gets published.
when I edit, I'm sure I'll be
Yeah.
texting you when I'm on this point of the
Yeah.
recording, going, "Hey, how do we do this?" Because I am that person. I can visualize pretty much everything in my book, which I think makes
I think so
reading
too.
so much fun that
Yeah.
I'm able to do that. The one thing I can't always get right is like what their faces actually look like, because if the book doesn't tell me like facial features, I can't. I kind of it
Hmm.
gets a little blurry there.
Yeah.
But everything else, when there's great world building,
Yeah.
I can see it all in my head. So much fun. But yeah, no, I have an inner monologue to the point I have to fall asleep to like TV or my
Okay.
brain won't shut up. I have to have noise.
Yeah.
I hate quiet because then if it's quiet, my thoughts speak.
Oh no. Oh dear.
But yes, my it in that time period, like if it's too quiet, I can literally like my brain will I will start talking to myself in my own
Uh
like
huh.
little world, and it's
Yeah.
not good. Um,
No.
just I seriously, Steven! Babe, come here. No, come here. I got a question.
Very important question for the husband.
Hey, I have a very important question. When you think, do you think in like sentences and like, or do you see pictures in your head? Words, you don't. So, like when you're reading a book, you don't visualize anything. You just see the words. You freak. Very minimal.
Visualizing and thinking in concepts are two different things.
Visualizing and thinking in concepts. Does that make sense? No? What?
Like the reading and visualizing, I would say, is not necessarily indicative of someone who thinks in concepts.
That's fair. That's why you don't read a lot, because you don't see anything.
There you go.
I see pictures. Okay, close the door.
Hmm.
Because husbands are great.
Yeah. Cannot relate.
But yeah, so no, now I know Stevens.
There you
he
go.
he just sees words. That's why he falls asleep when he reads.
Hmm. No, that makes sense.
I can't imagine that. I'm so sorry. I'm
No.
just that
No.
blew my mind.
But yeah, so what did you think of the kids betting at the horse track?
Um, it's very indicative for how the kids are.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's purely something they would do, and if, it's always led by Louise, of course.
Of course. I'm with Tina though. She's not wrong that like it's all her money, so she should get all the benefit. However, I can see that she would get some extra benefit just out of being there, and there's horses, and that in and of itself is its own benefit.
Oh yeah, her trying to get like the horse to sign though was definitely funny.
Yes,
She is our horse girl.
she is our horse girl.
I didn't really have a lot on this episode
No,
because
that's okay. I think we
it's
went over with the other one. I think it's okay. It balances out.
we did. So like all in all though, what did you think? Like good,
Um,
bad, kind of
see
follows your formula.
this no, I'm saying this one kind of follows my formula. This one score wise, this one gets 8 for plot, 8 for character, and 9 for personal. This one I would say is like in that kind of like that screwball comedy situation for me, where it's like it's a lot of like things kind of start normal and get chaotic very quickly, but the chaos is going in different but interconnecting directions. Like the horse track is separate from the Linda psychic thing, with the
Mm-hmm.
exception of like Louisa asked for the one thing of her prediction of what horse to bet on. That's the only connection between the two of them until the very end. So
Yeah.
it's like it's the different but diverging plot lines that come together at the end after being chaotically separate, and now they're chaotically together. I think that's more the formula that I lean towards
I think
versus
we
the
get
ones that are kind
more
of
of
like
that.
two halves of the same story.
I think we start getting more of that formula. Honestly, I'll take a look right after I talk about my score.
Yeah.
Because I did 8 for plot, 8 for character, and 9 for personal. So it was a
Okay.
25.
Yeah, so we both gave it the same score.
Because I think they do kind of tend to like do separate stories that kind of come in the end. They don't always come together at the end, but like most of your stories though are going to very much be they're not always doing things together.
Yeah.
Like a
No, and then
lot of it is like separate things happening.
No, you think what I think it is for me is the episodes that I tend to lean more towards are the ones that I think to me seem to have very similar formulas and setups to some of my favorite Simpsons episodes. Like not
Yeah.
necessarily setups, but like it's the same form. The Simpsons, because their main formula is usually the family kind of doing some is some kind of non sequitur that turns into
Mhm.
chaos, that turns into a heartfelt moment. End of episode. Those
Yeah.
are that's a lot of the Simpsons formula. That's a lot of the episodes that I really like. So I think looking back on it, the ones that I'm leaning more towards are the ones that have that similar formula.
That makes sense though.
Yeah, because that's the animated show that I tend to recognize the most.
Well, we only have 3 more weeks of season 4, so
We'll have
have
averages. We can
fun.
compare. We can
We
compare.
we can compare very soon, which I'm kind of sad because remember when we started season 4, I was like, "Oh, there's so many good ones. I love this season." And my scores do show that for myself, I feel.
Yeah.
Um but like I feel like these last 3 weeks will like honestly, I think what's really going to show how much you may actually end up enjoying the show is the two-parter finale,
Okay.
which I know we did our season 1 of Once Upon a Time. We did the last 2 episodes for that,
Yeah.
which I really enjoyed doing. But this time it's like a real two-parter where it's like all the
Mm-hmm.
same.
Yeah.
Um, this was, I think they said it was 2000. I hadn't even started watching the show when this season came out.
Yeah.
I started the season 5, I think was the current season when I started watching Bob's Burgers in 2016.
Gotcha.
So I don't know what this was like when it aired.
I don't know. I can tell you, I saw like the thumbnail for the Equestronauts. I didn't read the synopsis. I just looked at the thumbnail.
That's next week's problem.
I'm gonna have fun next week or on Wednesday when I watch the episode, is what I can tell. I'm gonna be like, it's gonna be a "what the fuck am I watching" thing, is my
Oh
guess.
yeah. Oh
Okay,
yeah. It's one of those ones the whole time you're like, what the
gotcha.
fuck am I like why?
I look forward to it.
But they like to pull things from real life
Well,
experiences.
that's the thing, is like so much of this stuff, like the things are too specific or too ridiculous to be fake.
Mhm. Oh, there's so many times that like we'll see another episode or they'll put more episodes out and every time it's be something you're like, "Oh, does this exist in real life?" You look it up while you're watching. It does in fact exist in real life. Like
Yes.
it's so random.
Mm-hmm.
That'll happen with our other episode for next week because it's the
Lovely.
Equestronauts, but then we have ambergris.
Okay.
Before this episode, I didn't know what ambergris was. This is one of those ones I had to Google like while
Okay.
watching, and I was like, "Oh, that's real." It's a
Lovely.
little disturbing, but it's real.
Yeah.
Welcome to Bob's Burgers, where it's like
Welcome to Bob's Burgers.
it's a little too real, but for a
Yeah.
cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
that should be their tagline. It's a little
It's a
too,
little too real for a cartoon. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Once Upon a Time, episode 212, In the Name of the Brother. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our new book club, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, but Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Katie and Lauren and edited by Katie.